Before we continue with the analysis, I want to talk to you guys about JerseyFIFA.com, the home of all of the greatest football kits. Whether that's the latest home shirts, the latest away shirts, tracksuits, or even retro kits, Jersey FIFA has a bit of everything. There really is something for everyone, so if you are interested, then make sure to use the link in the description down below and head to JerseyFIFA.com. So I think by now everyone has figured out that Erik ten Hag is unfortunately employed by one of the worst run clubs in the Premier League. All we have to do is look at the current ownership situation. We don't know who owns the club and who is going to own the club running forward, and as a result we have no idea how much money Erik ten Hag is going to have available to him this summer. Therefore we need to try and find some cheaper options for him. So what we're doing today is looking at 5 players which could be signed from relegated clubs this summer. So without a doubt, one of the most talented players getting relegated this season was Nonso Lees. The young 19-year-old winger is absolutely brilliant. We've seen it in glimpses against Manchester United last season, just how good he can be when he is given a chance on the pitch. And in recent weeks, Manchester United have been linked with a new left winger, perhaps with the idea of Marcus Rashford moving up top. So I could see why Manchester United might be tempted to go for someone like Nonso. Very good young winger, he's a really good ball carrier, very good with his dribbling, and considering he is so young, his output is also pretty decent as well. So if he was to come into the team, I could see a role where maybe he plays as a bit of a backup left winger. If he could come in on the cheap, he's going to bring ball carrying in abundance really. He actually ranks very well for his ball carrying metrics. He's going to bring creativity in the final third, he's going to bring a goal threat, and also athleticism. A lot of young players kind of struggle with the physicality of the Premier League. Not Nonso, he is very adapted to the league, he's done it really well, and he's a really bright, threatening young player. So I could maybe see why United could be tempted to go for him as a bit of a squad player. The other thing which could also make him a good squad player is his versatility. He can play on the left wing, we've also seen him on the right wing, we've seen him at times in a 10 position, and also kind of as a main striker. Now, without a doubt, his best position is on the left hand side of the attack. But you know, for a squad player, he could be kind of useful in a few different positions. However, unfortunately for Nonso, whilst I do think he is a good talent, personally, in my opinion, United just don't need a left winger at the moment, and I think players like Marcus Rashford and Garnacho would probably block his path. However, you know, if I was to hand-pick the top 5 players that have been relegated, Nonso would certainly be up there. So I do think he will get a move somewhere this summer. Another player who has of course been relegated this season is Tielemans, and now he is available for a free transfer. So not only is this a cheaper option, it's a much cheaper option than any other player on this list. Tielemans is there for a free transfer. Now in terms of his ability, I think Tielemans has become an extremely underrated player. A couple of years ago he was viewed as one of the best young midfielders in the world. Now, these days he does look a bit leggy at times on the pitch and almost a bit lazy, but on the ball you cannot doubt his quality. His passing range in terms of his long passing in particular is absolutely fantastic, and he also has brilliant passing through the lines. Add on top of this the fact that he is a high volume player, someone which gets a lot of the ball, and you can certainly see why United could be interested in going for him. He's a player which has been linked in the past in previous windows, and he would kind of slot into that left-sided midfield position quite nicely. He also offers creativity in the final third, as well as the occasional long shot. Now, like I've said, I do think he has become underrated and underappreciated, because he's played in a horrible Leicester side this season. I still think, in the right setup, there's a really good player in there. And again, perhaps as a squad player, someone to play as backup to a more established midfielder, I do think that Tielemans could be a good signing for the club. Again, he wouldn't make my list of players that I would necessarily go out and target. But again, if we are talking about 5 players which have been relegated, Tielemans is one of the ones that I would certainly consider if I was Manchester United going forward. Another player who could really be considered is Chap of Southampton. Now this is the first defender we've got on the list, and you know, people sometimes look at defenders for relegated clubs and say maybe they're not good enough. I don't think that is the case with Chap. I think he's a very good young defender, and I think it is only a matter of time before we see him at a bigger club. I'm very confident he will get a move of some description this summer. It's only, you know, the start of this season, we were seeing people say he should have gone to a team like United, or an Arsenal, or a Liverpool. I think there's a really good player in there. His reading of the game for such a young player is absolutely fantastic. The way in which he positions his body to both intercept the pass and also apply pressure to the ball is really impressive. Athletically, he's got brilliant recovery pace, and he's very good in the air, which is a combo we don't necessarily always see. Now, in terms of where he needs to improve, I don't think he is too great on the ball, and for him to kind of make that step up to the next level, he does need to improve both his passing and also his ball carrying from the back. However, I think Chap is one of the best young centre-backs around at the moment, and now with a year's Premier League experience under his belt, he does deserve a move this summer. And again, United should certainly consider it as a squad option. If players like Harry Maguire and Eric Bailly are going to leave, Chap is someone that could come into the side and perhaps in a few years become a starter in this right centre-back position. However, the problem with signing him this summer perhaps is that I feel like Manchester United right now want a right-sided centre-back which is a guaranteed starter. With Rafael Varane, you've got a very good player. If you are going to go out and sign a centre-back, it needs to be someone even better than that. Does Chap tick that box? Not quite. But again, if we are talking about players which have been relegated, Chap would be on my shortlist if I was Manchester United. If the opportunity comes to get him on a really cheap deal, I would certainly consider it. Another player who should certainly be considered on a cheap deal is James Madison. I mean, James Madison should be considered on any sort of deal. The Englishman is now a well-established Premier League footballer. There is no way he should be playing in the Championship next season. He's one of the most creative outlets that the Premier League and English football in general has to offer. He is absolutely brilliant. Now, over the past couple of seasons, we've seen him develop a maturity to his game, and he now works much harder off the ball, whilst also being more involved on the ball as well. In the past, at times, he could drift out of games. These times, he demands the ball. He gets a lot of touches, he's a very good ball carrier, very technical. Of course, you've also got his set-piece quality as well. James Madison all-round is a wonderful footballer who deserves to be playing in Europe next season. Will that be at Manchester United? Possibly not, with the main problem being that if he was to join a club, it would be as backup to Bruno Fernandes. However, that may not be a bad thing. Manchester United do need competition. If James Madison is available on a cheap enough deal, I would really pursue this if I was Manchester United. It wouldn't be my priority signing this summer, but if United get their priorities done, like a goalkeeper, for example, a striker, and a couple of central midfielders, and still have some money left over, I would be very tempted by James Madison on a cheaper deal to play as that backup to Bruno Fernandes. The problem is, would James Madison be happy being backup? Probably not, but it's certainly something I would watch if I were you. He will almost certainly move to a club this summer. Another player who feels destined to leave his club this summer is Lavia, only signed to Southampton from Manchester City last summer, but it's clear that this guy is too good for the Championship. Far, far too good. Despite being such a young player, he already looks very well rounded. He's very press resistant in the midfield, he's a very good ball carrier, and also a brilliant passer. And I think in the future he will become a player which is very high volume, a player which gets a lot of touches on the ball and really dictates the play. Now, of course, on top of his on-the-ball work, you've also got what he does out of possession as well. And a bit like Chap, his reading of the game is absolutely brilliant for such a young player. He's brilliant at reading the play in the middle, getting across to make an interception or a tackle, and he really does play like a player well ahead of his years. I am convinced, out of everyone on this list, that Lavia will get a move this summer, and it will be to a top club, because he is simply far too good to be in the Championship, a relegation battle, even a mid-table club. Lavia could be one of the best holding midfielders in the world in a few years' time. He has a little bit of everything to his game. If I was Manchester United, I would be making this signing happen. Again, if the funds are there to do so. Again, you probably prioritise a couple of other positions, but if United have leftover money, Lavia is not a player you can afford to pass up on, because you do not get players this good, this young, this available very often. So if I was Erik ten Hag, if I was Manchester United, Lavia is the main player on this list that I would be looking at. Now, the problem with Lavia is the competition. He wants to go somewhere and play football and really develop his career. Can Manchester United offer him that right now? I'm not too sure. And perhaps other clubs will be able to offer him that. So that would be the main sticking point. It's also a lot of money as well for a player which is maybe a backup. But again, if the funds are there, I would be doing it. So that is that. 5 relegated players from the Premier League which Manchester United could sign this summer. Now, of course, we haven't gone in-depth on any of these players in this video. If you want more in-depth videos on any of these 5 players, let me know in the comments down below. We have done one on Lavia already a few weeks ago, which you can check out. But these are 5 options. Do I think any of them will necessarily sign? I'm not too sure. But these are 5 players which Erik ten Hag could consider, because there's some very good talent in there. There's a mixture of experience, pure quality, and also the next young upcoming stars that I would consider if I was Erik ten Hag and if I was Manchester United this summer. But again, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Would you like to see any of these, or are they simply not good enough? Let me know what you think. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it, and as always, I will see you in the next one.